But I'm very proud to be a Pakistani and a member of this resilient nation, because despite intervention in the political system, multiple interventions, I must say, and political instability, this whole war against terrorism and extremism, we Pakistanis have been very strong to still stand. Is it okay? Thank you. To still stand with the pride that we stand today. But yes, there are issues, there are problems, and it is a source of encouragement to see the diplomatic corps present here, because we are a member of the global committee. We are part of the community around the world. And if Pakistan has a problem, I am very happy to express gratitude that our friends all over the world have helped us in difficult times, in challenging times. You've come forward to help us during our disasters, during calamities, and otherwise. So it is encouraging to see all of you, and I hope that the recommendations before us, not only you'd go through them, but you'll also, at some point in time, give us guidance or any kind of advice that you feel that you've got good examples in your country that Pakistan can benefit from. As for me, I am the Federal Minister for Poverty Alleviation and Social Safety. My ministry looks into the social protection of the population in Pakistan. And all that the economy has to go through, all the shocks that economy has to face, all the disasters that the people of Pakistan have to go through, ultimately it affects the socio-economic condition of the people of Pakistan. And unfortunately, we don't have great numbers to share with you, but just to give you a glimpse of what we are facing today. Now, Pakistan has ranked among the 43 countries most exposed to poverty risks. 54% of our population is vulnerable to poverty due to health shocks. Then again, 52 million people, which is 24% of the population, is living below the poverty line. If I am to share the multi-dimensional poverty index figure with you, that is about 83 million, which is 38% of the population. And almost 30% households experience food insecurity. So the whole economy, or the state of economy, ultimately impacts the population of the country and also affects the poverty that people are facing. And my task becomes quite challenging given the current situation. We currently have some important programs under the ministry. One of the most successful social protection program is Benazir Income Support Program, which was initiated in 2008. And if I take you to that year, I would like to refresh your minds or memories that there was a global economic crisis in 2008, due to which Pakistan, being one of the countries in the world, was also facing similar problems like other countries. But since we had a vulnerable population to feed and to support, so the then government initiated the program by the name of Benazir Income Support Program, because it was the brainchild of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto Shaheed Sahiba to have a program for the poorest of the poor households of Pakistan. So this program was initiated back in 2008. It was enacted upon, and a law came from the Parliament of Pakistan in 2010 to further strengthen the program. And today we are covering almost 8 million families through this program. And the main criteria, or the criterion of the program, is to register the women members of the households. So that is one of the basic criterion, other than being poorest of the poor household of Pakistan. Now this is for the unconditional cash transfers that we provide to augment the income of these households. Other than this, we also have the unconditional cash transfer programs that are connected with the education and health. Now here the idea was to improve the health of these women and the children. as well as provide education and ensure that the children who are not going to school go back to school and are provided with some incentive. So we've incentivized these two very important sectors of the country, which are health and education. I'll be happy to share more details about the program at a later time with the diplomatic corps, inshallah. But to just give you an idea that what the Social Protection Ministry of Pakistan is doing currently and how our role becomes more challenging if the economy is not stable, if the economy is facing problems, and the most of, I'd say the burden falls upon us to ensure that these people who fall below the poverty line are secured with the kind of programs that we are offering. And since the finance minister is here in his presence, I'd also like to appreciate the action or the decision of the Parliament, of the cabinet, in light of the increase in fuel prices recently. A couple of times it was incumbent upon the cabinet, and it was a very important decision that the cabinet had to take. But at the same time, cabinet ने ये भी इंश्योर किया कि वो लोग जो इस फ्यूल प्राइस के इंक्रीज की वजह से अफेक्ट होंगे, उनकी किसी ना किसी तरीके से मदद की जाए. Although it was a very difficult decision to be taken at a time when the government was already facing huge economic problems, given the state of economy that we had inherited at the time we came as the new government. And like I think some speaker here before me rightly pointed out, that highest number of trade deficit, $48.2 billion, was inherited by the current government. So not going into the details of the failures by the blunders of the last government, we have to take the correct measures to ensure that the economy is stabilized. And we are not going to do it for the world, we'll first do it for ourselves. We'll first do it for the vulnerable population of Pakistan. We'll first do it to ensure that the poor people of Pakistan graduate out of poverty, ultimately stabilizing the country's economic and social state. So this is very important upon any country to look into our own priorities. And one thing that I would like to also share with our business community and the Islamabad Chamber of Commerce, that I did not see in the paper, but I'm sure that everyone believes in this as much as I do, is the participation of women in labor force. I feel it is very important to include the women in labor force. We have issues, हमारे कुछ cultural issues हैं, कुछ social issues हैं, कुछ mindset के issues हैं. But I would like to just share एक study है. Now this study is done by IMF. Again, IMF is that the big reality in the world today for many of us. And like somebody said, a colleague of mine earlier, no one likes to go to IMF because the kind of conditions they impose on us are not the conditions that a political worker or a political leader can expect the people of the country to easily accept. So we have to make our amends to our policies when we have to follow those conditions. But it's also our job to ensure that those conditions are people-friendly and not, so severe for the people of any country. And the same is for Pakistan. Now, when I talk about this IMF study, this is very interesting, done by IMF. And IMF did a study, it estimates that our GDP can increase nearly 33% if women contribution towards the labor force is close to what the men participation is. So this is just like a number from the estimates that they found. Another study that was done by ILO, and now this study it indicates that if Pakistan merely reduces the gender gap in female participation in labor force by 25%, its GDP can increase by 9%, which is an increase of 130.
नाज़रीन, वफाकी वज़ीर शाज़िया मरी का मईशत के हवाले से कॉन्फ्रेंस का खिताब आप मुलाहिज़ा कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि मजबूत मईशत ही मजबूत मुल्क की ज़मानत होती है। पैदावार बढ़ाने के लिए ज़राअत पर तवज्जो देना होगी। ज़राअत मुल्क की तरक्की में रीढ़ की हड्डी की हैसियत रखती है। माशी तब्दीलियों का असर बराह रास्त आवाम पर पड़ता है। वफाकी वज़ीर शाज़िया मरी मईशत के हवाले से कॉन्फ्रेंस से खिताब कर रही हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि पैदावार बढ़ाने के लिए ज़राअत पर तवज्जो देना होगी। ज़राअत मुल्क की तरक्की में रीढ़ की हड्डी की हैसियत रखती है। हमने इससे पहले भी आवाम की खिदमत के लिए बहुत से प्रोग्राम्स का आगाज़ किया। उन्होंने कहा कि बेनज़ीर इनकम सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम भी इसी सिलसिले की एक कड़ी है, जिसे 2007 के अंदर शुरू किया गया और उसके बाद से अब तक लेकर आवाम की खिदमत के लिए इस प्रोग्राम को चलाया जा रहा है। माशी तब्दीलियों का असर बराह रास्त आवाम पर पड़ता है और आलमी सतह पर जब मईशत को धचका लगता है तो उसका असर मुल्कों पर भी पड़ता है और फिर उसके बाद जो आवाम होती है उसके ऊपर इसका असर बहुत ज़्यादा शदीद हुआ करता है। उन्होंने कहा कि पैदावार बढ़ाने के लिए ज़राअत के शोबे पर हमें तवज्जो देना होगी। माशी तब्दीलियों का बराह रास्त असर आवाम पर पड़ता है और आवाम के अंदर वो लोग जो ख़त ग़ुरबत से नीचे हैं वो इससे सबसे ज़्यादा मुतासर होते हैं।